All right, welcome everybody. We did it once again. We made it onto the program. We still don't have a title for this program, so we're basically calling it "Whoever is on answers questions." So today it's John and Zach answer questions again. With me is Zach, and we're gonna answer a couple of questions that people have sent us. Not just recently, but in general, we've been like keeping tabs on what people have asked us, and then basically just taking the time. One thing we say with Hillary is if we don't know the answer, we'll like study it, obviously. And if we don't know the answer after we study it, we'll ask Pastor. So, but
Shout, shout
we'll find,
out to Hillary. She's leading a missions trip to Egypt right now.
yeah. So if you pray for people, why not pray for the team? I forget how many there are. There's like 10 of them.
Yeah, 10 or
If I'm not
12.
mistaken, they already made it to Egypt and are ministering and preaching and everything. So that's pretty cool. And if you're interested in missions trips as well, let us know because I think it's a cool idea. I mean, it's basically part of the heart of the church is missions. And so we support a ton of missionaries, but maybe you want to go and see what, the people we support. I think that would be cool as well. I mean, anyway, that wasn't the idea for this program, but anything goes, really. Okay, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so this is what we do. We'll post a question. A lot of people have asked this question. So actually, this question comes to us from Instagram. We did a couple of stories, and you know how you can ask questions on the stories, and a whole bunch of people asked the same question. Like maybe they expressed it differently, but it's the same question, and it's the following: Zachary, is cussing bad?
I mean, yes. I mean, I don't think we can say that it's a good thing. That seems a little bit incorrect. My first response to this actually sends me back to my high school youth pastor. And it was like, if you're ever questioning whether or not like something is sinful or bad and it's not directly in scripture, he always would question like the posture of your heart. So for instance, I'm not ever going to condone like just going on a cussing spree, but there's a difference between saying a little bit of a cuss word as a part of the punchline of a joke when the heart posture is just to make someone laugh and it just went there, as opposed to like cussing someone out in anger. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
It's so weird that I feel like I'm validating cussing at all. It just
Basically,
feels a little weird.
basically, y'all can do whatever you want as long as it comes from the purity of your heart. Uh,
That's not what I
Make sure
meant, but you
next
know what I
time
mean.
you punch your wife, you do it out of purity and jolliness.
That's that is not translated. You know it. What do
Well,
you
that's
say,
the
John?
program, people. That's the program. Go do whatever you want.
What do you
So
say, John?
okay. So no. So before I say what I say,
Yeah.
uh, there's actually people and like pretty intelligent people out there that will actually, for some reason, I don't know, this is the hill they want to die on, and it's the hill of like allowing cussing at certain moments. And their reasoning is, if they go back and study not only the intent of what people, of the author, which if I'm not mistaken is exegesis, or hermeneutics, finding like the intent behind it, and the exegesis finding, like the background and like what was actually trying to be said. And Paul, when he would reprimand people in his letters, the tonality that he used and the words that he used could be equated to today's like cuss words. And
Never heard that. That's fascinating.
so this is what I'm not, so I don't think it's right. I don't think it's correct.
Right.
I'll give you guys the biblical precedent for it of why I believe it's not okay. But I am, allowing, for people to understand that there will be people, in our Christian family, maybe far off family, like distant cousin Christians, other denominations and stuff, that will, for some reason, want to debate you on why, like, cussing, specific, like, because people ask you, like, what about cussing towards the devil? Like, wouldn't that be okay? You, you, hey, I mean, it's
People
questions.
try to find loopholes to
It's
everything.
questions I've been asked, and it's questions I've also asked, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's, oh, well, what about, like, what if you're praying hard and you want to cuss the devil out? Anyway, so people will, Moses, whenever he got mad, like, when they study the whole, like, breaking of the Ten Commandments and stuff like that, and says that he cursed, and what he cursed, was not just like, like Harry Potter curse. It was actual cussing, I guess, would be what you would equate it to. And so, different people in the Bible did cuss. And so it's not as black and white, I think, as people would think it is, which I think is a valid question to ask.
It
And,
is, which
and
goes to the whole posture of your heart moment. I'm just saying. I'm not validating it. I'm saying in a heated moment, you know,
yes, so
what's the
stubbing your
posture of
toe.
your heart? I don't
Um,
think the Lord's gonna be mad at you if you stubbed your toe and it hurt really bad and a bad word slipped out, as opposed to like you just going in on somebody that you're just
so,
furious
so
with. Like
there's,
two different moments.
Instagram profiles now and everything of, like, Christians that cuss and whatnot. And there's people. So
It's like the
what
way
I
to
think about
identify
people
like
like that is that they're just trying to find an excuse to keep on being carnal. I think
I can agree with
at some point, you kind of have to grow up, and then by growing up, you grow out of certain bad habits.
it's true.
So do people that cuss go to heaven? I think so.
I
Uh,
also heard some scholars also like to say that cussing is a sign of low intellect, if you will,
well, yeah, because I mean, at
because you can't
least
think of another word to say.
no vocabulary. Yeah, is what I would say. There's more ways to express.
Lexicon is lacking, if you will.
Ooh, I think we should just finish
Raph
that.
would call it a second semester word.
So here's my thought. Ephesians 4:29 says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." So the word, expresses, very expressly, if you that don't let any unwholesome talk. But anyway, so people will be like, but is it unwholesome or not? So this is what I think. Whenever Peter was by the fire and he was about to deny Christ, the route that he took to convince people that he was not a Christ follower was cussing. Uh,
I feel that's where you were gonna go with this.
like, literally, he's like, "How do I show you I'm not a Christian? How do I show you I'm not Christ-like? I know, I'm gonna cuss." So, I following that thought pattern, I mean, you can't really, at least in Peter's mind, you can't really be a good Christian if you cuss, which is why he started cussing to convince people that he wasn't a Christ follower.
Yeah,
So
I'm.
with
I agree. I think end of the day, you walk in your head. If you're walking beside Jesus, he is like literally walking beside you. Is Jesus ever gonna cuss? No. So
I don't think so.
rule of thumb, no.
Colossians 3:8 says, "But now you must also rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips." So there has to be, I mean, there has to be a line, is what I'm saying. So some
Agree.
people will be like, well, you can say, and they'll, they catalog it by different letter words. So not the F word, but maybe the S word, but not the D word, but maybe the, G word. I don't know what, maybe the X word and stuff like that. But like, there has
There's
to
the
be a
line.
line where it's like, this is actually filthy language from your lips. And then you have to rid yourself from it. And there just has to be a change. One of the, okay, so follow me here. One of the
Okay.
things that not just that not just that I like have been bothering me lately, but also something that I struggle with is not just personally, but I struggle when I see it is people kind of like resurrecting their old selves. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And the word of God says that that person has died. There is no need to resurrect that person.
Yeah.
The old you has passed away. Behold, everything has been made new. You are a new creation in Christ Jesus. All those things.
Quit going
And so,
to Egypt, if you will.
yeah, and so like people kind of like and they take like the scenic route, and they're like not going to stay there. Obviously, they're very good Christians. They're doing their thing, but every now and then, call it a birthday, call it a get together, call it what you want. It's like they resurrect it. And like, why? What do you gain? What do you gain from resurrecting your bad self? What do you gain for resurrecting that person? I mean, I know there's like a lesser type of joy, like a carnal joy that you get out of it, which is why I also struggle with it. There's just some things, whether it's like with high school friends or stuff like that, that there's a struggle there. There's a struggle to like resurrect it. Because I mean, I say resurrect because he's technically dead. So like we're like all about resurrecting our old self every now and then. But then it includes this, it includes the filthy language or the slander or the malice. And so anyway, so I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But.
I agree. I will say, you know me, and I feel like this will make you laugh. Anyone that hangs out with me for longer than a few minutes realizes I have a very, very, very low tolerance for anything ratchet, as the world would call it. And someone that has just a really filthy mouth is an instant red flag for me. And it screams either like there's been lack of consecration there, or there's an anger problem there, or something. And it's always sat wrong with me. Not a judgment so much. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe I need to work on that. I don't know. But it bothers me on some level. And I think the fact that it's a question that people are asking, is it wrong, should tell us that there's a conviction there, whether we want to admit it or not. Yeah. So my answer, locking it in, would be yes, it's wrong. Let's not do that.
So that my answer would be forget my first answer. Last one that I brought. James 3:10 says, "Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing." And my brothers and sisters, this should not be. There's more background to this. He talks about a person that curses, which I'm getting. Cursing is more than just cussing. I'll concede to that, but it talks about like a well, where in a well you can't have bitter water and then clean water. Like the bitter water will always come into the clean water and contaminate it. So I think it's the same way, even with our words. How the power of death and life are in the power of the tongue. Same thing. It's gonna contaminate the good. So that's why we're just supposed to stray away from it. I mean, learn more vocabulary if this is what you need, so that when you stub your toe, you can say something, pray in tongues. I don't know. It helps. Someone asked me the other day if you could like cuss in tongues. I'm like, I don't know, but maybe it's a better option because it's spirit led at least. So,
spirit led cussing.
New book coming soon. Cussing. But anyway, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I locked in my answer. I'm staying here.
Okay, so maybe you guys don't know this. This comes from another question. People have asked us, what are recommended books to read? What do you guys read? So Zach is like an avid book reader. He really is. Me, I am an avid book buyer. But can't seem to follow through with like finish reading a lot of books. So I do. So I think this question, and I brought it for today because I know you're a very good reader. I'm not saying Hillary is not. I'm just saying you read more.
Well, Hillary's also in the middle of grad school, so she's having to read a lot of textbooks right now.
Exactly. And so, but you have like the full spectrum of books.
We can't. So, if you go to my office and look at my bookshelves, there's everything on there from like Bibles to biblical commentary to like murder mysteries, like, and everything in between. I'll start with my favorite spiritual book I've read in a long time is by Brennan Manning. It's called Abba's Child.
Abba's Child.
It's probably, I think, 250 to 280 pages. And it's just this beautiful reminder. And the way he talks about it, it hits very personal to him. He also wrote the Ragamuffin Gospel. But basically, it's bringing, he calls it the imposter, that side of ourselves that we put forth for whatever reason, that keeps us from, yeah, that's it. That's it. It's one of my favorite books. I've always wanted to read a life group on it, and every time I say that, I'm like, we're gonna embrace the connect value here. We're gonna get a life group going, but I have 3 toddlers, and there's just no time for it. But I recommend anybody read this book, but take your time with it. It's just a reminder of your identity and who you are in Christ. But the way he writes it and expounds on it is just beautiful. I think I cried about 4 times during that book.
Really? I don't think I've ever cried in a book.
You know how you're a weeper in the car? I'll be reading the book.
Which I see that is like just that's what reading does to me. Stop reading. Get the audiobook.
Yeah. I would say right now I'm currently reading The Holiness of God. I forget who wrote that one. It's old. And then
by R.C. Sproul.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that book.
It's good. And I'm like 5 chapters in, and he is like just now trying to define the holiness of God. That's not the one that mine looks like. But it's on my Kindle, so I really don't know what it looks like. It's in black and white on my Kindle.
It's $11. Cheap.
Yeah, it's old. It's a great book. And it just kind of reminds us of what it, as much as human language can do, reminding us of what God being holy really means. Because all we can really define it is like, it means he's separate, he's set apart, it's above the rest of us. But I don't think in human terms, in any language, we could actually define what it means to be holy.
Okay.
And he's trying to do that. And he writes that he cannot do that. I like this book. And this is like a theological for like all you theologians out there. This one's an easy read, but she's one of my favorite theologians. It's by Lisa Harper. It's called The Sacrament of Happy. And she basically defends the difference, and that God doesn't just want you to be joyful, but he would also love for you to be happy. And that they don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive. I liked that one. Yes.
What a smiling God brings to a wounded world.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
That thought.
Mm-hmm.
Being happy.
Mm-hmm. Do you even want to go to secular books at all, like business books?
I mean, the question was it's recommended books to read, so I guess
if you are managing people.
There we go.
The Way of the Shepherd's good. I think all of Word of Life staff has read The Way of the Shepherd.
No way.
It is. I mean, you can read that book in one afternoon. It is super short, super easy.
No, don't say stuff like that, because it took me like 2 weeks to read it.
That was not because you were. Yes, that one. Great book. I like that.
It's like you and Caitlin are like, yo, it's been 10 days. I already read 100 books. I was like,
the funny part is you're saying
100 days, and I've finished like the first 20 chapters.
But like Pastor Joel reads me into the ground. Like he reads circles around me. It's like I feel almost like fraudulent even like talking about this. But
it's also, it's also it's like an American thing. Like American culture is very dedicated to reading. We've noticed, just
ironically,
like okay, so like if you go to an American beach, like what you think about beach, people are like, oh, I got my book to read and stuff like that. Like you go to a Colombian beach and like no one's thinking about like what you read at home. Like you read when you're depressed, but not like this is the beach. Like you can like cook out, drink Coke, and other sparkling sodas, play soccer, swim. Like, why are you spending your time missing out on like God's creation, which would be,
That's funny. Can I tell you my beach read? And this is I don't know why I read this at the beach. I think I've read it 3 different times at the beach, and that's the only time I've ever read it.
go.
God's Not Dead.
Really?
Brooks. Okay, it's not an easy read because it's basically from the heart of 1 Peter 3:15. Like, always be prepared to defend your faith. And I got thinking about it. It was a couple years ago. If like, say, a hardcore atheist, or even like just anyone that really wanted to debate, why do you believe what you believe? I was like, how would I convince that person? Yes. How would I convince that person that of God's existence without using the Bible? Because the Bible doesn't mean anything to them. It's not a valid source to quote to them, right? And honestly, it made me do a journey of like my own testimony too, because I was on a pretty short lease. If you will, I was pretty sheltered. I haven't had any. I'm not that person who had some massive turnaround in life. So like, it's not one of those. So I was like, how would I defend this? And I've read it 3 times, and it's basically Rice Brooks, who's actually from Mississippi, is actually writes a lot about different arguments and different debates and different topics on how he has defended and how it has been defended, God being a creator of the world, to like the world-renowned atheists that debate this for like a living.
It reminds me. So I wrote this one down. I think it's the same idea. The case for Christ.
Yes.
Like, to me, it was beautifully written. It was one of those few books that, like, from start to finish, you just like, he knows how to hook you real quick.
Yeah, I've heard him speak live, and he played a audio tape of a man who was like this big Sunday school leader and teacher in his church that lost his voice due to some weird rare disease he had to get completely out of teaching because the sound of his voice was so annoying and painful. Like, I don't mean that mean, like it really was, that they asked him to step down, and they brought him back for like a big anniversary or something. And in the middle of him trying to teach, you hear this on audio, his voice comes back.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it was incredible. Case for Christ is good, and Case for Miracles is also good by Lee
Case for
Strobel.
Miracles is very good too.
The one book I would say to partner with all these, I've only read half of, even though I have it, is God's Not Dead is evidence for God, the creator. Man, Myth, Messiah is all of the evidence for Jesus.
And I've heard you mention that a ton.
I haven't finished it. I should have finished it by now, but that one's I would recommend.
By Rice Brooks.
Yes,
Oh.
Rice Brooks is he's good. I like him.
Let me show it real quick.
Yeah. So
look at that real quick. Did Jesus really exist? All right, well, my people, now you know. I mean, there's a lot of recommended books. So
yeah, one more. If you're also managing people,
yes,
please. Five dysfunctions.
Wait, it's the one about the rock. Was it like rocks? For some reason, I always remember there's like
it's called Traction.
That one. Oh my god!
The whole purpose is like if
it
you're filling up
so long to read that
one.
Is
kind of boring.
Like, why are we reading about rocks?
It's not. John, you're making it sound so, but you're so nonchalant about it. They're talking about rocks. Now he's talking about if you're filling up a vase, put your big rocks in first, and all the little stuff to the bottom. So basically, the moral is get all the big stuff done first, and all the little stuff fulfilled.
There it is, the rock book.
It's a good book, but only if you're like trying to like run a business or manage people. That's not
spoken like a true COO.
I try. Actually, my old boss before I was at Word of Life made me read that book, and I wondered why. Now I know.
Now you know. Now
I doesn't waste anything.
I'm the little pebbles.
And I don't want to recommend any like secular books because I don't remember how clean or not clean they are. Yeah, but I will say favorite author outside of like books that are going to make you do any introspection is Dan Brown.
Dan Brown.
He wrote The Lost Symbol, The Da Vinci Code.
Is it like stories and stuff?
Yeah, but it's very historically accurate and very murder mystery and suspenseful and kind of thriller-esque, but like in a real cool way. A lot of it's like Robert Langdon, I think is his name, is like this world-renowned symbologist, and they have to solve all these things. And some of it's like Roman Catholic world, some of it's like Illuminati world, some of it's like, but same guy wrote the Da Vinci Code. So take it with a grain of salt, but it's just entertaining reads.
I mean, I get it. So the author that I've been reading, like I read his first book and then just caught on and I just keep reading all his books, is Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
I recommended his book
Tipping
to you.
Point.
I don't know if you read it or not. So no, not Tipping. That's what the one I'm reading right now is The Tipping Point, which is so cool because what I like is he asks questions. It's like if I were a very good author, I would wish I would be Malcolm Gladwell because he asks just random questions. It's like, wait, why? So like The Tipping Point, his whole premise is like, wait, why did they do so good? Like, what happened? So he starts with this story about hush puppies, the shoes. And like back in 1992, they only had sold like 30,000 shoes and were like the border of bankruptcy. But then like in 1994, they sold like 30 million shoes. So he's like, why did that happen? And so he went to study, and basically the whole premise is, what's the tipping point for businesses? What's that tipping point that just propels you into, massive sales and virality and all that stuff? So it was cool because like the story of Hush Puppies, it was like 20 kids in, I think it's Soho or whatever the fancy place is in Manhattan where people like dress fancy and start new trends. And they started going to parties with Hush Puppies, and it just caught on. But like imagine that, like 20 kids putting on, just shoes just to make a statement, and then all of a sudden you saved the company, made it millions of dollars, and stuff like that. So I thought it was cool. Well, I over spiritualize things because it's that little chip in me where it's like I'm gonna preach about everything. So I'm like in the same way. If all we need is like 20 people to start like praying in tongues, it's like tipping
Or
point.
one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put
Exactly.
John, you can't help it. Your rebellious stage was like going to the mission field. So like
this is the truth. It's like, oh, you don't want me here? Oh, I'm gonna preach even harder in Africa.
In the jungle with the anacondas.
Yeah, you don't want me here? Okay, I'm gonna go to unreached tribe. They cannibalistic.
You're never bored, Johnny.
Yes. So. I tried not to be bored. That's like one of my fears in life. Is
before you end this question, I'm a little embarrassed to say this. The only book, you've recommended a couple to me, but the book you recommended to me with like the most gumption, you were like, you planned your life around it for like 2 or 3 days, was Shoe Dog. And I read the first 100 pages and I was like, I mean, it's all right, but I
didn't sleep. I did.
I know.
I like in the span of 3 days, I took like 3-4 flights. Every flight I was reading. I got there at night with Carolina to the hotel. Like I couldn't stop reading. Also shows how slow I am of a reader that I took me 72 straight hours to read a book.
I'm gonna give it another go. I'm gonna give it another go.
It was that. I like Nike. Like it's really one of my favorite.
I love Nike products too, and I like this. Made me feel a little seen. But for all those of you that don't know, John and Hillary are two of my best friends in the entire world. But they are both creative and they're fun, and I'm Mr. Spreadsheet. So the fact that Nike hired accountants and lawyers because they knew what they were going to get.
That's part of their secret. It was like, what we need is more accountants and lawyers more than creative people. And exploded. Which makes me very thankful for the job that I have, being a creative. All right. Oh, okay. So we're 30 minutes in. So last question, and then I got like a game for you real quick. So what does your quiet time look like? I got music for you.
You got all ASMR on me.
Hey, Zach. Welcome to Quiet Times, Zach.
I honestly don't. I'm laughing about this. I have 3 toddlers. So I'm like, what's quiet time? What's that look like? But on a daily basis, my quiet time honestly starts out first thing in the morning on the way to the gym. Because there's literally the quiet. It's the only place I get quiet right now. And I'm not a night person. If you let me get horizontal and the clock is double digits, like I'm not going to survive. Like it's just not going to happen. But I have this one chair in my house. They call it my throne because I don't want anybody else to sit there.
You're such a dad.
And I am. It's my chair. But I have my Apple headphones on, they're noise canceling. And sometimes I've literally I'll just put them on. And whether it's a podcast I'm listening to, I've been listening to God Talks podcast. And he like goes through guided meditation of like hearing from God. But also Pastor Joel did this, and I hate quantifying things scripturally because sometimes you're like, it's never enough if you're going to quantify it. But one thing that was good for me was always reading 3 chapters. 3 chapters of the epistles every day, bare minimum.
That's pretty good.
And then I as much of a talker as I am, and as much as I like to like discuss stuff, I'm a terrible journaler. Terrible. I do not do it well.
So this has been my journal for 5 years, and it's still like
I know, but look, it's probably
still
full.
paper. There's so much paper. I mean, like I write some, but I mean, look at all this. It's still like missing for 5 years. This is probably gonna take me another like 2-3 years to finish.
One thing that I will do is I do have a list of things I'm believing for with the scriptures that I'm standing on that I do go through. But honestly, what I do write that has helped me a lot out is I will write out my prayers. The music's killing me.
I'm gonna find
I'll write out my prayers. That helps me.
That's interesting.
But I've always felt like this is something I don't do well in my walk. Because like when we'll go on, if I go on vacation and I get a few days away from the hustle and bustle and the kids, I can sit there, to your point, and enjoy God's creation at the beach and genuinely just sit there in silence and never miss a beat, like love every second of it. And I want to bring that into my like daily life, but we are running 90-0. My day starts at 4:00 a.m. and ends whenever the kids go to bed. So like right now I'm in the season, just total vulnerability of shoving the quiet time in there where I can get it.
Yeah, I mean, 'tis the season for like 18 more years.
I'm just trying to get the last 2 potty trained, honestly.
Yeah, that's where my quiet time goes.
Yeah. How does your quiet time go?
So, I mean, same thing. I'm always pretty busy. I think everyone is always pretty busy. So, I know there's people that carve out time. I thought about it, maybe carving out time. But what's really helped me though, like at least for me, to like get more juice out of the squeeze, is how the Bible says that, and like when you delight yourself in the law of the Lord and you meditate it day and night.
Yeah.
Or same thing, that you can be prosperous and successful, in like Joshua 1:8 by meditating. So the way I visualize meditating is like a tea bag in the water. You dip it, and the more dipping that happens, the stronger that it gets. And so what I try to do, like if it's a busy day, like I try to get like my read real quick, but try to find like a verse or something that I'm going to be dipping into all day. And just, praying about it, dipping it. And so if I'm in Colombia and there's traffic, takes like an hour each way, no matter where you're going. So, I mean, there is like 2 perfect hours to pray it out and then like, keep dipping. If I'm on a plane, same thing. If it's a red eye, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be sleeping. But like that whole concept, like that, for some reason, the tea concept has really helped me because I keep it consistent. So maybe it's not as extensive as I would like. And so I'll go on these sprees though, sometimes like full, like podcast sprees where I listen to like 5 different types of, preachers, pastors, revivalists, to like get it in. But then for some reason, I hit my limit and I feel like I'm full, so I'll go somewhere else. But like but what I mean, I don't know. I keep it very dynamic, I guess.
I like
Um,
your illustration. Yeah, they say it says pray without ceasing.
yeah.
I'm in like a constant conversation with the Lord at all times. Like walking, whether it's walking into a meeting, Lord bless this meeting, give us wisdom, or whether it's like somebody just made me mad. I'm like, Lord, I'm mad and I'm being mean right now. I apologize. You know, like whatever it is, like, and it's doesn't always have to be some long drawn out thing, but it is.
You know, a couple of people have said it, but I remember Smith Wigglesworth, who was like a revival, like a very Pentecostal revivalist.
He has a good
Uh,
device.
I mean, he even had, I think it was like 26 people documented, raised from the dead in his ministry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so he knew about the power. But anyway, but they'd asked him, like, hey, with all these resurrections, you're probably praying, and your quiet time is probably like 14 hours a day. And he answered, is like, I really don't make it more than 30 minutes. He said, but I don't let 30 minutes pass without praying. Uh, so it's just that consistency and like making it constant, just
Right.
just constantly dip the bag in the water, always go. And so worst case scenario, like literally here, like full transparency, like my cell phone, and I have a widget right here in the middle where
Yeah.
it's the Bible verse of the day. And so
Yeah.
every day it renews. So if for some reason it's just been that type of day where it's just, I mean, obviously excuses, whatever, but just that type of day, I'll swipe left real quick, and then I know today's verse, 2 Timothy 3:16-17. I'm gonna be dipping in that because I don't have more time. Just dip on that all day.
Yeah.
So anyway, maybe dip is I should use it to different words. People are like, what are you doing?
Dipping in
Dip
the word.
my spoon.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Shout out to all the spitters and chewers out there. Thank you for tuning in, apparently.
That's funny.
All right, real quick. I got just one question. It's like a game. Okay. So follow me real quick. So you need to survive a zombie apocalypse. Okay. Yes. You need to
Okay.
survive a zombie apocalypse. And now you have $10 to spend on these different survival options. I'm going to give you three different survival options. You have $10 to spend. Okay. So make the mental note. So, first thing you have to spend on is you have to pick a partner. So, for $5, you can get Rick Grimes, the guy from The Walking Dead. For $4, you can get Alice, the lady from Resident Evil. For $3, you can get Sean from Shaun of the Dead.
I don't know any of these people.
Really? You don't know any of these?
Uh-uh.
Oh man. Okay, so no. So I'm gonna change the question then. Are you ready?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You are planning a heist. Okay.
Okay.
You have $10 to spend on planning a heist. The first thing you have to choose is picking a mastermind. So for $5, you can have Danny Ocean from Ocean's 11. Yes,
Okay.
have you seen Ocean's 11?
I have seen
Never.
Ocean.
Too much quiet time apparently. But for $4, you can get Michael Schofield from Prison Break. For $3, you can get the professor from Money Heist, which it's a fantastic like season, but I can't recommend it publicly.
Okay.
So forget I just said that. But Professor from Money Heist for $2, you can get Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible,
Possible.
and for $1, you can get your college roommate.
Oh, my college roommate would have no idea how to rob anybody.
So
Hmm.
$5 Danny Ocean, Michael Schofield
I'm
$4.
going with Michael Schofield because that man tattooed a game plan onto his whole body and succeeded in breaking not only himself and his brother, but many people out of a max security prison.
All right, now you have $6 left. Okay, so now you have to pick a location of what you're gonna
What
what
I'm
would
gonna
that
rob.
adjective be? Heist. What will be heisted? How do you use that appropriately? Anyway, for $5, Fort Knox. For $4, the Bank of Spain. For $3, the Louvre. For $2, a billionaire's mansion, and for $1, a local bank.
I have no reason to go through them again real quick, just real fast.
So Fort
The
Knox,
Louvre was $2.
no,
Bank of Spain.
$5 Fort Knox, $4 Bank of Spain, $3 the Louvre, $2 a billionaire's mansion, $1 a local bank.
I'm gonna go Bank of Spain.
Bank
I
of
don't know
Spain.
why. I don't know why. I don't want to have to
If you
sell.
would watch Money Heist, you would understand why the Bank of Spain, because that's where they print all the money for all the euros.
Okay. Okay. See,
There's a lot of
maybe
money. So I good thing. But now you just have $2.
so.
So pick a getaway vehicle. For $5, you had a helicopter. For $4, you had a speedboat. For $3, you had an armored van. And for $2, motorbike. For $1, a bicycle.
Motorbike in the middle of
You have to
Spain.
go with the motorbike.
I
Okay,
feel
so
like
you are robbing the Bank of Spain with Michael Schofield, and your getaway vehicle is a motorbike. You're gonna get caught.
who says you have the money with you when you leave?
What?
Who says you're gonna?
I don't know.
I have a whole game
I
plan.
trust the genius that is Michael Schofield,
Yeah.
and I think that was your best choice. Michael Schofield was amazing. Also, they don't make series like that anymore. Like that was a fantastic series.
I agree. Unpopular opinion. They should have stopped after the first season because the second season was garbage.
No, the second season was all right because you kind of wanted to see how it would develop further. Third season was terrible. The whole Panama prison.
Ugh.
Why? What was it called? Sona or something like that? And it's just like the same story again. Like,
You let it die. Good things can come to an end.
Or just leave the cliffhanger. Leave the amazing cliffhanger where, what could have been, we'll never know. All right, my people. Well, thank you guys for watching with us. Let us know. I mean, all the answers, all the thing, what you guys think. I know there's people that watch this after it goes live. So if you're watching this in another time, let us know in the comments. We always go back and we always check and see and have fun with it. And we thank you for your time. Thank you, Zacarias, once again for all your recommendations.
Yes.
Any
Thank
last
you
words?
for having me. No, I'm just have accepted that I'm basically just the second choice to Hillary, but I'm okay with that.
All right, we'll leave with that. Bye.